Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Corina. Thank you for being here with us today. As usual, I will do a very short introduction to our webinar today. And of course, I will let you know about some technicalities. Thank you for attending this webinar, once again, offered by the European School Education Platform, the European Commission's platform for school education in Europe. My name is Maria Elena. Some of you might know me already, and I will be the hostess of this session. This is a recorded webinar, and all the material will be uploaded on the European School Education Platform in the coming days, and more specifically on the webinar's website. Before we begin, I would like to remind you of some very important technicalities. Following the General Data Protection Regulations, your microphones and your cameras have been disabled. However, we invite you to share any thoughts or questions through the chat, and we kindly ask you not to share any personal information during this webinar. Instead, you can always use the Connect tab on the European School Education Platform for partner finding and collaborations. I would also like to introduce you to a very useful tool that you can use in case of any language difficulties. It's the captions and the subtitles or subtitles tool. With this tool, you're able to add the subtitles and live captions to this event. To do so, as you can see on your screen, you have two options. You can click the button More at the bar on top of your screen. Then you move to Language and Speech and click Live Captions. You can also install this function by going again to button More. You click on Settings and turn on the captions in the Accessibility section. If you have any questions, we will be very happy to help you with that. So today, we have the honor of welcoming Corina Hadjinicolaou. Corina is an associate professor of developmental psychopathology with an important contribution to fields such as children's rights, early childhood education, and child protection. Together with Corina, we will engage in an interactive session where we will explore various strategies and activities on how to teach about human rights in our classrooms. So we invite you to stay with us until the very end of the session and discover various different age-appropriate activities that you can that you are invited to use in your classroom. And let me also remind you that for this webinar, no certificates are issued. So, with no further delays, Corina, welcome. I would like to give the floor to you, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Maria-Elena. I'm really happy to be here with you, and I would like to thank you for providing the opportunity to share this afternoon with so many colleagues. So I will start sharing my screen. So we can start our webinars. Is it okay with you? Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can perfectly see it. Have you included the sound?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, so today I have prepared some, I believe, interesting topics to discuss with you. You can see here the objectives of the webinar. I will focus on the principles for teaching human rights in the classroom, some psychology behind human rights learning and teaching. I will try to share with you some indicative material on human rights education, and I have prepared some activities to share with you for the classroom. Actually, to be honest, however, what I can promise you is quite lots of opportunities for reflection, many questions unanswered. Instead, possibly would be a motivation for you to look for further training and some practical tools, I believe, that you can use directly to your classroom. So that's what I have planned for today. But before we start discussing about teaching human rights in the classroom, I would like you to take a couple of minutes, think and respond to this question in the chat. What does human rights mean to you in one word? For this reason, I will copy and paste this. I'll stop sharing my screen for a while. This link to the chat. And I would like you, Marielena has already done that. Okay.
Yes, Corina, we
So,
will do this for you. No worries.
okay, that's great. Okay, so please take a couple of minutes and let's see what comes up. So people are moving around. That's really nice.
Corina, in the meantime, I can read you some comments that came through the chat, if that's
Yes,
fine.
please. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I see that Karina is mentioning integrity. We have people mentioning freedom, respect. Respect is winning in the chat. Quality,
Okay.
justice.
And I can see some more here: democracy, freedom, um, respect again, uh, empathy. Beautifully thought words. Thank you. Thank you all. And can you see the humanity? Nice. Equality, respect and empathy. Perfect. Okay, so I think we have already concluded our webinar. We can we can stop and go back home. We have said everything, I think. Yes, you have picked up some really relevant words, so I would like to thank you for this sharing. Keep these words in mind because we will be discussing about them, all of them actually. All the words that you have used somehow will be used in the webinar. Dignity, I can see here as well. Okay, perfect, nice. Thank you, thank you all. I will ask you now to stop for a while, but however, if you want to continue feeding the Canva while we are doing the webinar, feel free. It's gonna be really nice at the end, I'm sure. So I'm going back to our presentation. And after we have shared between us what means for us human rights, let's go and see what human rights mean to children. The Council of Europe had organized a competition before some years and asked school-aged children to create comics and videos in a form to express their views of democracy and human rights. So there are plenty of videos in the link I share with you, and I know that you have access to this material at the end of the webinar. And I would like to watch one video with you so that we have the children's voices heard in this webinar as well. So let's watch it. Sorry, that's me. Perfect. So, Maria-Elena, could you please help me and share with me the thoughts that our colleagues might want to share with us in the chat about this video? For example, what's the first emotion that you recognize in yourself after you have watched this video?
Of course, Corina, let's give them a few seconds. I
Yes, of
see
course.
Daniela is mentioning be yourself.
Okay.
I
Or
believe
something
that
else. Sorry, it
diversity
can
is
be
positive.
it can be emotion, or it can be a thought, or something that you keep from this video.
Enjoy with respect. I see some comments coming. Respect diversity.
I would say have fun. Learning is much better. It happens much easier when you have fun, and you can see. I mean, you can see in the video how children really feel that deeply, because what the comics that you saw were developed by kids. Of course, later on they had the support of people that they work with video animation, etc. So this nice video came up. However, you can see that for kids, democracy, participation, diversity comes with lots of fun. Yeah. While before everything was dull, was really not worth the time, I would say. So for sure, it's going to be more fun for us to work with kids in such a way. So okay, and I'm not gonna see. We are not gonna watch the video again, at least now. But there are lots of videos in that link for you to watch later on. So after we have shared among us some thoughts, and we have included children's voices in our webinar, let's take a step back. And I would like to share with you. I'm sure that you know, but it's always nice to remember that there are lots of international documents that they speak about human rights and human rights education as well. You can see here in the very beginning the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, produced and published in 1948 by the United Nations, and the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and the rest of them. However, the interesting thing is that these international organizations have taken the time and have given the care of preparing child-friendly versions of these documents. So if you check, for example, the link that I have shared with you, you can see ready-to-use material on the Convention on the Rights of the Child in your classroom. And there are plenty of other relevant material that can help you to teach human rights in the classroom. For example, the third bullet tells you about the World Programme for Human Rights Education. This program is coordinated by the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights and develops specialized material on human rights and human rights education, and builds systematically throughout the years capacities for sharing good practices. So have a look at them. They are not really dry documents, but you can find lots of interesting ideas inside these documents to include activities in your classroom. The same stands for documents that have been produced by the Council of Europe. It's interesting, but really some of these documents really are practical tools in my mind, because they are quite practical, and if they can guide you through several strategies and activities that you can prepare to teach human rights in the classroom. So have a go. Your night reading for the next 2 months has been prepared by me. So here you go. Okay, so having said that, I would like to start speaking about the first topic, let's say, of this webinar, some basic principles for teaching human rights in the classroom. I would like to share with you that these principles that you can see in the slide is a summary of principles that I have encountered in the many different international documents speaking about teaching human rights in schools. So I have tried to include the most important and the ones that they were the most repetitive among different documents in this slide. So let's look at them together quickly. The first principle is the experiential learning principle. This approach emphasizes drawing on participants' existing experiences and connecting them to international human rights frameworks. This principle recognizes that teachers already encounter human rights situations in their classroom daily, and they just need tools to identify and address them systematically. So one of the objectives of this webinar is to give you some ideas about practical tools that you could use in order to bring up material that you already have in your everyday life in the classroom and teach in an experiential learning approach human rights. The second principle is the safe and democratic environment, is the creation of such an environment in the classroom. That's very important because when you create a safe and democratic environment, then all students feel secure to express themselves and explore sensitive topics such as human rights, because human rights is a sensitive topic, and we are going to understand a little bit more about it later on. This involves creating physical and psychological safety, ensuring democratic participation, and of course, modeling respectful dialogue. The third principle is the age-appropriate pedagogical adaptation. This principle acknowledges that human rights education must be taught differently across developmental stages. What works for an 8-year-old child, like for example the human rights tree activity, differs significantly from what teenagers need. We're going to see later on an activity which is tailor-made to teenagers' developmental challenges. I call it mock human rights court. You may have seen it around because the same activity has received different names and it has been used for different purposes. The fourth principle is interactive and participatory methodology. Rather than lecture-based delivery, the principles emphasize active learning through role-playing, case studies, collaborative problem-solving, and peer-to-peer learning. This mirrors the democratic values inherent in human rights education, and you can demonstrate that to your students. Like, for example, when you use participatory methods and you achieve goals all together through these participatory methods, the job that you are doing in the classroom with them through these participatory methods, you can discuss it later on with your students, showing in practice how democratic dialogue is established, let's say. Or you can discuss with them what we could do better next time. Now that you know what a democratic dialogue is, what are you expecting from such an exercise next time? So our everyday classroom activities and life gives us lots of opportunities to connect what we are doing with human rights. The fifth principle is the contextual relevance and cultural sensitivity, of course. This principle recognizes that European educators work in diverse contexts, requiring adaptation strategies that respect local cultures while maintaining universal human rights standards. We will be discussing about cultural sensitivity later on, especially when we will be working with the age-appropriate activities that I have prepared for you. And last but not least, connection to real-world application. This principle emphasizes linking classroom learning to current events, community issues, and students' lived experiences. For example, a nice activity to do that is the human rights news correlation. You choose news from local newspapers, television, or something that has occurred in your school. and you try to bring it as a topic to discuss human rights. So you can do that in a daily basis, short democratic dialogue in the beginning of the day for the day to run much better. So let's look at these principles a little bit in a critical way, let's say. We may be able to recognize in these principles some strengths. They adapt an holistic approach, balancing theory with practice, recognize the teacher's expertise and children's existing knowledge, emphasize on student agency and participation, and they are scalable across different educational contexts. Now, let's be aware of some potential challenges, I would say. First of all, teaching human rights in the classroom needs significant teacher preparation and confidence. Teacher may encounter resistance in conservative educational environments, let's say, or there may be the need for ongoing support and resources for effective implementation. What I would suggest is that when you plan to teach human rights in the classroom, you get ready well in advance. You prepare your material, you go through your material several times so that you feel confident about it. You try to think about possible things that could go wrong or that could go airy, so that you have the time to develop strategies to prevent or to manage such situations. So it's important to be aware that both strong and challenging issues can come up when we teach human rights in the classroom. Okay. Now that we have seen some basic principles on teaching human rights in the classroom, let's have a look at some psychology behind human rights learning. Here you can see 7 psychology-related issues that could be helpful, let's say fields, subjects that you can think of that could be helpful for you when you decide to teach human rights in the classroom. First of all, as teachers, we need to develop a deeper understanding of how children at different developmental stages actually process concepts of fairness, justice, and rights. For example, we may ask ourselves how moral reasoning develops. When children can genuinely understand perspective taking or rule following, which is the role of cognitive development in understanding abstract rights concepts? How to recognize when students are developmentally ready for complex ethical discussions? All these are questions that developmental psychology can answer for you. So developmental psychology is a field that can provide rich insights for those teachers that are keen to try teaching human rights in the classroom. The second psychology-related issue that is very useful for people working with children, and especially when they work with human rights with them, is the trauma-informed approaches. As teachers, it would be beneficial to receive training on how to recognize and respond to students who may have experienced rights violations. If you receive training on trauma-informed approaches, then you will be capable to create a psychologically safe classroom for vulnerable students. You will be able to understand how trauma affects learning and participation, recognize signs of distress when discussing sensitive topics such as human rights, and you're going to be capable to develop strategies for supporting disclosure without becoming therapeutic at the same time. The third issue that I would like to mention here today is the social psychology of prejudice and inclusion. As teachers, we need to understand the development and maintenance of prejudice and forms to promote inclusion in order to teach effectively human rights in the classroom. For example, we may have questions such as how do stereotypes and biases form in childhood? Which is the psychology behind in-group, out-group dynamics in classrooms? Or which are the effective interventions for reducing prejudice? For example, activities or games with perspective taking. Yeah. The fourth issue is about emotional regulation and empathy development. As teachers, it is important to understand the role of emotional regulation and empathy in our teaching human rights in classroom. If we are aware of the importance of these two issues, then we will be capable to foster genuine empathy in the classroom versus superficial sympathy, I would say. Teach emotional regulation skills needed for difficult conversation. You can prepare your classroom for difficult conversations. You can do games or activities with emotional recognition, self recognition and other recognition of emotions, etc. You can prepare your classroom for that. And support students who become overwhelmed by injustice or suffering. You may, for example, you may need to manage a situation that 2 or 3 kids are fighting between them because one of them feels that his or her co-students have been unfair with her or with him. So you have a real life situation to support students how to deal with emotions and feel better after these overwhelming moments, providing a nice resolution of the situation for everybody. The next important issue is the psychological safety in learning. As teachers, we know that emotions play an important role in learning. It is paramount to understand the psychological conditions that are necessary for effective human rights learning. For example, how does fear and anxiety block learning and moral development? Which is the importance of psychological safety for genuine and active participation? How do I build trust and rapport in diverse classrooms? How do I manage group dynamics during sensitive discussions? All important questions. I'm sure there have been some of the issues that burden you while you are working with young children of different ages. Then we go to cognitive biases and critical thinking. As teachers, it is important to understand the role of cognitive biases and critical thinking on understanding and practicing human rights. Are we aware of common cognitive biases that affect moral reasoning? How to teach students to recognize their own biases? How do I develop critical thinking about rights-related information? A very good colleague of ours, Dimitris Pneumatikos, he's a professor at University of West Macedonia. He's working on the development of critical thinkers. That's a very interesting issue to read about. And for the end, I have left possibly our utmost objective. As teachers, we may want to achieve behavioral change and motivate students to insert human rights in their everyday life, in school and out of school. Psychology can help us achieve this behavioral change and increase the motivation of children to achieve to include human rights in their everyday life. We may want to think what actually motivates prosocial behavior in students, how to move from awareness to action. And of course, a beautiful objective in terms of behavioral change is to discuss the psychology of bystander intervention, yeah, which is a very beautiful issue and tool to have in hands when you're working in schools. So these are some important psychology-related issues that we have to have in mind when we are working with human rights in the classroom. Now, I would like to ask for your help, and I would like you to reflect a little bit on the psychology of human rights education. As I'm aware of the limited time, I would like you to concentrate on a couple of these questions. Let's say, why do some students resist human rights concepts? What do you think? Would you like to write in the chat a couple of reasons that you would give as the why some students resist human rights concepts? If Marielena could help me, I would deeply appreciate it.
I will wait, Corina, to see if
Yeah.
we have some input in the chat.
Yep.
Maybe give them a few seconds.
Yeah.
I see that some answers have started coming.
We need some even short time for reflection, so it's normal.
Of course. Okay, I see so far Fabrizio mentioning habits, family education, then Maria, social and family background. Eliana is mentioning that it depends on the student's age. In my opinion, family plays a fundamental role. Maybe we have Ifigenia here mentioning maybe embarrassment, sexism. Evangelia is mentioning that they don't know what all this mean, and so they're afraid of the unknown. Family and friends, biases, family education.
Perfect.
Laura is mentioning that if the students are not familiar in their close environment with HR issues, then they might not care, they might not find them relevant for them. We have many votes for family and family education, lack of awareness.
Great. I would add gender roles, personal experience with interpersonal relationships, trauma experienced by some of the kids. There are many different reasons why students might resist human rights concepts. And the thing is that we have to feel confident and have the knowledge and the training to be able to have in mind all these reasons and try to create a safe, emotionally safe environment for this conversation to take place and to have a couple of important tools in hand to promote open discussion. So would you like to focus for a while on the second question, how to frame discussions to maximize openness and learning in the classroom in order to somehow break the resistance that we have seen when considering the first question? So I would like your minds again in the chat, please. How to frame discussions to maximize openness and learning in the classroom?
I see one reply from Laura, maybe role playing.
Of course.
Okay, we have more votes for role playing, real life examples as well.
Yes, of course, and a very good game to introduce new concepts and create the desire for discussion is when you work with activities that kids play the role of sculptures. They make images like frozen images. And then you have kids that they go around and they discuss, etc. So you can start opening up space there and start discussing about how different people might see in different ways the same picture, etc. Or another really interesting tool to open up a discussion, especially with older kids, is the use of open questions. Yeah, if you want to explore an issue with your students, it's much better to do an open question so that you don't really give a direction. You don't create the idea to the students that they have to reply in a very specific way, and then you start taking up answers like we do now. Yeah, throughout the webinar, I will try to model various of the strategies and the tools I suggest to you. So, like the way we do now, I give you some open questions. I'm not sure even if they are understood in the same way by all of you, but you see that you with your answers you co-create the puzzle. Yeah, so it's really nice to use the open question tool as well. So you see there are a couple of other questions, but if we have time, I will come back to them later on. So I don't know, Margelena, if any more answers have come up.
Yes, many.
So please share them,
I
because
can read. Yes, of
yeah,
course.
I'm gonna share with the group why, because one of the things that makes me quite sad sometimes when I have only seen it a few times, so it's okay, not too much sadness, but it is sad when we say, for example, to our classroom to draw something or to think about something, and everybody is drawing, everybody is thinking, and then we don't give the opportunity to everybody to celebrate the drawing or to share his or her thought. So I wouldn't like to go out from this slide without having heard everything that people have said.
So we have many votes for role playing, circle time, debating, be active and do something for others. Painting. Many people are mentioning different forms of arts, painting, music, help of experts on the issue. Um, role playing, debating,
Very good.
making universal concepts more concrete and less abstract. So make the lesson more specific, I think.
Perfect. Perfect, nice. I would also suggest that the creation of a clear list of rules while we discussed sensitive topics also could create a safe environment and promote openness to our classrooms. For example, we could agree all together that we don't insult, we don't discriminate, we are very kind with each other, that we only share what we really want the classroom to know, and that's something that we can discuss only with the older kids. Yeah, the younger ones you can say the same thing, but with different words. So this is another way also to somehow make them feel safe in order to be open. Because if you don't feel safe, you cannot be open. Also, let's say physical safety, the way that you have organized your classroom in order to discuss sensitive topics, it's very important. If, for example, you are in a circle, everybody is somehow equally participating in the procedure, and you start from the same line. However, if you have the rows in the classroom, then some people really are to the back of the classroom, and they cannot participate in the same way and feel as close as the others to you and to the subject. So these kind of things really make such a difference to teaching human rights in the classroom. Okay, so having discussed quite a lot about the psychology of teaching human rights in the classroom, I would like you really to keep 3 psychological principles in relation to teaching human rights in classroom. The first of all is emotional safety enables learning. The second, we have to respect developmental readiness. And the third, I would say, is to address the whole person, not just the mind, to have a whole person approach. For example, you have suggested lots of activities such as debate, role-playing, etc. These are methods that address usually the whole person, not just the mind. The children have a total experience, a full experience while they engage in such activities. So I would like you to keep these 3 psychological principles, because I would like you to use later on when we will be discussing the 3 activities that I have prepared for you. So now, before we go to the activities, I would like to share with you some indicative material on human rights education. The Council of Europe has developed quite a beautiful pack of material, and I invite you to visit the website. I'm sure you're going to find lots of interesting things to include in your classroom. And again, here is the Compasito. I believe that lots of you may already know about Compasito. Let's have a quick poll. Do you know Compasito? Yes, no in the chat. Let's see. Please, Maria Elena, let me know whether Compasito has arrived to your neighborhood.
No, I see many no's. You can also use the react button if you want.
Okay.
No, yes, I see a yes here.
Okay.
But it's mostly no.
Compasito is actually a package of activities that support children to acquire knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes related to democratic related to democracy, human rights, peaceful living with other people, this nice civic values that we always like to see in our communities. So it's a ready to use material. Please feel free, take advantage of it. I have applied it myself. It's really fun. And you can adjust it very nicely to your classroom. You can use it with kids of different ages, but actually, I believe myself the most fun was with school-age children between 7 and 11, 12. So feel free and serve yourself. It's going to be really fun, I promise you. Here are some other guidelines, activity books, etc. that you can find in the internet. All of them have ideas for activities, practical tools that you can use in the classroom. Hopefully, many people have been working on teaching human rights in the classroom, and it's nice to share good practices between us. So I have chosen some of them. It's just indicative. There are lots of others out there. UNICEF, for example, has lots of nice material as well. So before we go to discuss the activities, I would like to do a quick poll. Which age group do you find most challenging for human rights education? Please, Margelena, are you going to share the link with our colleagues to vote
yes,
in the poll?
On it.
That's
yes,
great.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me also open up here. Okay, give some more seconds. Okay, let's, no, that's not, I will have to find it. Yeah, well, still people are working with it. Okay, you continue voting. When we discuss about when you're gonna be thinking about the activities, I will come back and check the numbers. Okay, so thank you for participating in that, and I will give you the answer before the end of the seminar. So let's go to the last part of the webinar. I can see that
Corina,
we
sorry.
only, yeah, I can see that we
Yes,
only
we have
have
15
15 minutes. So I will have to go quickly, unfortunately, so that we have some time for questions and discussion. Okay, the first activity, you can see that I have chosen 3 activities. Each of them is for different age groups. The first one is for very young kids from 3 to 5 years old, feelings and helpers. We teach basic rights through emotion recognition and helping behaviors. How is the activity? Use simple picture cards showing children in different emotional states and discuss what each child might need to feel better. Now, as children in this age, they still have a quite egocentric view of things. It would be interesting to somehow relate the emotions to their own experience before you ask them to understand other people. For example, you may ask, how would you feel if somebody was really mean with you? Yeah, or what would make you angry? Let's say how we implement this activity. We can start with feelings identification. How does this child feel? You saw a photo of a child. How does the child feel? What might help this child feel better? For example, when you are angry or when you're sad, what does it help you to feel better? So, do you think that this child might feel better in the same manner? Then connect this personal experience to rights concepts. Like, for example, everyone needs to feel safe and loved. We know that the Convention for Children's Rights includes safety and the right to be loved and feel secure and safe. These are some of the basic rights for our children. Of course, you can role play simple helping behaviors. For example, one of the children may tell you, oh, when I'm sad, I really like talking to my teddy bear. Oh, okay. Do you want to play that? Do you want to, which teddy bear would you choose to play this behavior, this habit of yours to show to the classroom? Or find other ways of helping each other. Yeah, role playing, simple helping behaviors. That's really nice to play with the kids. It's really fun. You have to be careful not to keep it too long. It has to be short, 10 to 15 minutes the most, because the attention span in this age and the emotional regulation, which is not yet too developed, do not allow young kids to concentrate for a long period of time in overwhelming, emotionally speaking situations. So keep it short, 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on the dynamics of your classroom. I could say much more things about cultural sensitivity, safety, etc. However, there is no time, sorry for that. Because I really want to share the other 2 activities. The second one, I have called it Rights Detectives. It's constructed for kids from 7 to 11 years old. Children become rights detectives investigating their school environment to identify where rights are being protected or violated. They can use a simple checklist that you have created together, covering rights like education, play, liberty of expression, and safety. How can you implement that? Provide nicely made, or you can make them with the kids, detective badges and clipboards with age-appropriate rights checklist. Then students can work in pairs to observe different school areas, playground, lunchroom, library. Then they document examples of rights being respected or needing improvement. Then they bring these observations back in the classroom, and you share between you the findings, and you brainstorm solutions together. How can we make our school more safe, more democratic, more fun for all of us? And you can even create a class rights protection plan and share it with the director, because it's always nice, as Professor Lundy has said, to be sure that we provide the opportunity for an audience to the initiatives that children have taken. Yes, this is a really nice activity as well. Of course, again, if you want to adjust it for different ages, you have to be aware of cognitive and socio-emotional development, safety issues, adult supervision. Yeah, that's very important. And cultural sensitivity. For example, some schools might work differently from others, etc. So really consider well the context in which you're working each time. And last but not least, a nice activity for adolescents, human rights court simulation. Students participate in a mock human rights court examining real but age-appropriate cases. They take roles as judges, lawyers, witnesses, and jury members, arguing cases involving student rights, freedom of expression, or discrimination. How can you implement that? You can choose or create age-appropriate case studies based on real situations. It can be school violence, can be student journalism, religious expression. The issues you can somehow know which are the issues that burden your community, your classroom, yeah, in order to work on them. And then assign roles randomly to encourage perspective taking. Then conduct formal proceedings with opening statements, evidence presentation, cross-examination. After everybody has played his or her role, then think and reach decisions with written justifications. Children, adolescents can work in groups. Then debrief, focusing on psychological and emotional aspects of the experience. I have to confess that this is an activity that I also apply at the university with my students, and they really enjoy. I give them usually a debated scientific issue. They have to somehow debate and provide the best arguments. It's like a group discussion, debate, etc. Not exactly court, but that's the idea. So you can adjust again this kind of activities for different ages depending on the group you're working with. So if I had the time, I would further work with you these three issues for each of the activities. Whether developmental adjustments are needed is something that we always have to think about the activities we prepare, how to inform our activities with cultural sensitivity, and we always have to take care of any safety concerns and think beforehand how to prevent any safety issues that we may think possible to happen. Emotional safety is really something very interesting and basic for teaching human rights in the classroom. We discussed it a little bit when we managed to think how we could create a safe space for the children to feel open and speak. So that's a very nice thing. So that's all for the time being. And I will be really happy to receive your feedback in the chat, and of course, any questions that you may have. For example, I give you here some ideas what you can share with us. What am I definitely going to take back home? What was not so useful? Have I identified a training target, something that I would like to know more about it through this webinar? These are nice things and interesting things for me to listen. So really thank you for your attention, and happy to listen to your questions and comments.
Thank you very much, Corina. Maybe before we wrap up, We have one question in the chat. Which one of the activities, I think it's about the activities, would you recommend for a music class of elementary school, for the elementary school grades? Which of the activities that you proposed, I guess, because it is mentioning which of the above techniques could work for this.
Well, I mean, any of them with appropriate adjustments. But if it's a music class, I would say that it would be really interesting for me to adjust the activity about emotions, but for older children, and combining activities with our musical instruments. For example, how would you play sadness or fairness or happiness? Or yeah, and then for example, you can always include some Augusto Boal techniques there. It's a renowned Brazilian practitioner, theater practitioner. For example, if somebody plays fairness in one way with the violin, then if somebody else thinks with the guitar could be played better, come and show me how would you do that in a different way. And you can start a discussion, nice discussion about sharing emotions, and then open up the importance of recognizing each other's emotions and how the same emotion could be felt or played in different ways by different people, etc. So then you have already created a really nice context to discuss human rights with your classroom, I believe.
A very creative and interesting idea, Corina. Thank you. I see that many people in the chat are mentioning that they really enjoyed the webinar, that they liked your ideas and the activities you proposed, and that they will try to implement them in their classrooms. I have one last comment. I would like to know what education or seminars can we take for kids trauma and management, both in classroom and individually.
You mean training on trauma-informed educational practice, I
Yes,
would say.
yes. Vasiliki is asking this. If
Uh,
you have any resources, but I think this, I don't know if this can be answered right now.
Well, the thing is that there are lots of things for you to read out there. Depends on the country you are in. For example, in Greece, I have a very good colleague, Anna Touloumakou, at Padion University, that she's working with trauma-informed educational practice. So if we have Greek colleagues here, chat with her, read her articles, and annoy her, ask her to come to your school and provide a training. I know that she does that. So depends on the country you are in, but there are plenty of resources already. If you look for trauma-informed educational practice, then I'm sure you're going to find something, if not very close to you, around you. So it's a new, trendy, important, and for future to further be developed topic. So you are very early, and take advantage of it.
Thank you very much, Corina. So once again, let me remind you that all the material of the webinar, all the materials of the webinar, meaning the recording and the presentation, including all the links, of course, will be shared on the webinar's website, which we have already shared with you. You can take a look into the pinned message also, where you will find the evaluation form for this webinar. And as we wrap up, I would like to encourage you to think about one small shift that you might make after this session, something that aligns with what we heard today and maybe speaks to your unique teaching style. We really hope that you have enjoyed this session. Before we close for today, we would like to remind you of our upcoming learning events on the European School Education platform. We have some online courses running and opening in the next days. Please don't forget that even our previous online courses are now offered in a self-paced format. So please feel free to navigate through the platform, take a look, and explore other learning events as past webinars, past courses. and maybe you can find relevant resources there. So, thank you very much, Corina. Thank you very much, everyone, for spending your afternoon here with us. We really hope that you have enjoyed our webinar. We really hope that you found some interesting ideas regarding activities and strategies that you can use in the classroom when you would like to teach your students about human rights. And I wish you all a very nice evening. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Maria
Thank you.
Elena. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.